Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to today's Friday Reflections on this, the 5th of March, 2021. I hope everybody is well who is watching this. And looking forward to the weekend. Jummah Mubarak. That's Friday blessings for those who don't understand it. Today I would like to read something from this lovely book, The Secret of Secrets by Shaykh Abdul-Qadir Al-Jilani. Now, for those who are familiar with Sufism and Islam, Shaykh Abdul-Qadir Al-Jilani would need no introduction. He is one of the great saints of Islam, within the Sufi tradition. The Qadiri Tariqa, in fact, comes from him. And I'm going to read chapter 11 of the book. The joy of being good and the misery of the rebel. Now, I should highlight here, when it says the joy of being good and the misery of the rebel, that doesn't mean about a good rebel who is rebellious in a good way, but is not, this is when people rebel against Allah and rebel against all kinds of goodness. So there are different kinds of rebels. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. You should know that all men are included in one or another of two classes. The class of people who are at peace, content, and happy, doing good deeds in a state of obedience to Allah, and those who are in a state of insecurity, doubt, and misery in the rebellion against the prescriptions of Allah. Both the quality of obedience and that of rebelliousness are present in each human being. If the purity, the sincerity, and good in one are dormant, and other selfish characteristics are transformed into spiritual states, and one's rebellious side is overcome by one's good side. On the other hand, if one follows the low desires of one's flesh and the tendencies of one's ego, one's rebellious character dominates that which is selfless and obedient in one, and one becomes a rebel. If both of these contrary characteristics are equal, the hope is that the good will overcome, as is promised in the Quran. He that doeth good shall have 10 times as much to his credit, in Surah An-Nam, Ayah 160. And if Allah so wishes, He may even increase His favors. So again, as I was saying, this is not about people who are rebellious, but they're not bad people, they're good people. This is talking about people who rebel against everything which is good, everything which is wholesome. And of course, that should be of cause for concern, because this is not a small point, So there are different kinds of people, different kinds of rebels, and it's important that we understand what we're referring to, because otherwise we can misunderstand and get a completely the wrong meaning of what we're discussing. So it's important to understand the meaning of terms, and that's irrespective, whatever the subject is, whatever we're discussing. This is especially true within a debate, because otherwise people might be arguing and not even disagreeing sometimes, but they are disagreeing with one another because they don't understand the words that they're using. So the goodness here is associated with selflessness, kindness, consciousness of God, overcoming one's lower characteristics, whereas badness in this case is associated, or rebelliousness, it's associated with badness, it's associated with being selfish, not considering anybody else. So this is why it's been spoken about, people that actually just chase their own egos rather than doing what is better for them and for other people. And also this says the hope that if these two types of characteristics are roughly equal within the person, that the good will overcome. So you should always hope for good, both for yourself and for other people that you are encountering and working with. You shouldn't be hoping for bad. You shouldn't be wishing bad upon anybody, and no matter what that person or those people have done. Shaykh Abdul-Qadir continues, yet that person in whom evil and good are equal will still have to pass the terrible trial of the day of the last judgment. While for the one who was able to transform his selfishness into selflessness, the low desires of his flesh into spiritual aspirations, there will be no trial. There is no accounting to be given. He will enter paradise without passing through the terrors of the last day. As it says in the Quran, then he whose balance of good deeds will be found heavy will be in a life of good pleasure and satisfaction. Surah Qariya, ayahs 6 and 7. And then some people might say, well, doesn't everybody have to pass through this trial on the Day of Judgment? Well, sort of yes and no. But if you think about what Shaykh Abdul-Qadir Al-Jilani is saying here, if a person has overcome their evil nature within this life, and they are living saintly, they are caring, loving, good, they are not a person who goes around sinning or harming people. I mean, very few people actually exist like this. But for the person who has achieved that, they've already judged themselves in this life. They've already corrected themselves in this life. So it will be easy for them on that day. Whereas for the person who hasn't done that preparatory work during this life, it will be very, very tough. For one whose errors are heavier than his good deeds, there will be punishment in proportion to the amount of his crimes, after which he will be taken out of hellfire, and if he has faith, will enter paradise. So another reminder here, firstly, that everything is in the hands of Allah, but even for the person who is a sinner, Allah is still Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. There are very few people on this earth, just like there are very few saints, there are very few people that are absolute devils. Most people, they do some things right and some things wrong. And Allah is Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. He's the most compassionate, the most kind. Allah is Al-Ghafur and Al-Ghaffar, the most forgiving, the forgiving one. So, and Allah is Al-Kareem, Al-Kareem, which means the generous. So a lot of these people that go to hell will also be removed from hell at some point. But of course, hell is going to be a terrible suffering. So who really wants to go there? But it is a reminder of Allah's mercy and compassion. Shaykh Abdul-Qadir Al-Jilani continues, obedience and rebelliousness mean good and evil. These are present in every person, yet they do not stay as they are. The good may turn into evil and the evil into good. As the Prophet Muhammad says, while the one in whom good is dominant finds salvation, peace and joy and becomes good, and the one in whom is more than good rebels and becomes evil, the one who recognizes his errors and repents and changes his ways will have his state of rebelliousness transformed into obedience and devotion. So you see, there is a danger. A person may be like they're very strict on their religion, they're very caring, they're very kind, they're following everything properly. But if they're not careful and they become complacent, they may go down the wrong path. Something may happen which causes their anger to come up, or something which changes their direction. And because they think, oh, I'm doing all my prayers, I'm doing all these things, they assume that they are still good. Whereas the person who is sinful, if he recognizes that he's sinful, may make correction, may try to change his ways. Is always thinking, oh, well, I could have done that better today. I shouldn't have done that. Why did I do that? You know, and they go through life like this. So if the person who reflects and thinks about what they are doing, they correct themselves, they may start off in the wrong place, but they can end in the right place. So we should always be careful, because every single one of us has the potential for good and evil within each of us. As Abdul-Qadir Al-Jilani says here, it is indeed decreed that both good and evil, both the blissful life of the obedient believer and the miserable life of the rebel, are states that people are born with. Both are hidden in the potential of every human being. Our master, the Prophet Muhammad says, the one who is fortunate enough to be good in his mother's womb and the wretched sinner is already a sinner in his mother's womb. That is the way it is. And no one has the right to discuss the matter of destiny is not to be discussed. For if one is led into such discussion, one is led into heresy and disbelief. Furthermore, no one has the right to use destiny as an argument to abandon all effort, all good deeds. One may not say, if my destiny is not to be one of the good, why should I tire myself trying to do good deeds, as I am already blessed? Or if my destiny is to be evil, what good will it be for me to be good? Obviously, this is not right. It is not proper to say, if my state is fixed from the past, what benefit or loss can I hope for with my efforts in the present? The best example given to us is the comparison of the first man and prophet, Adam, Salam, with the accursed devil. The devil put the blame for his revolt on his destiny and became an infidel and was rejected from the mercy and presence of his Lord. Adam admitted his fault, assuming the responsibility for his error. He asked forgiveness, received Allah's mercy, and was saved. So, you know, we shouldn't be complacent, and we shouldn't be thinking that just because in the past I've done wrong, that I'm going to go to hell, or in the past I've done right, so I'm going to go to heaven. No, every day of our lives is full of opportunities and decisions and choices. Even if our whole past was wrong, we can change course. We can change course from today. We can try to be better. We can think more carefully about what we're doing. And there's numerous examples of people for whom this is true, who they have changed their ways. And, you know, we are full of potential. What is potential? Potential is what we can do, what we are capable of doing. And we are all capable of being very evil. And we're all capable of being saints. Potentially. That is what potential is. But it's our choices. What choices do we make? And sure, if we're in bad habits, it may take a while to get out of bad habits. But we can make the choice to try and keep working on it. And if we do that sooner or later, we will find that there's changes that we've made, especially if we take it one step at a time. The Shaykh continues, it is incumbent upon all believers and all Muslims not to try to understand the causes of the unfolding of destiny. Whoever does this will become confused and will gain nothing but doubt. He may even lose his faith. The faithful must believe in Allah's absolute wisdom. Everything that man sees happening in himself and in this world certainly has a cause. But that cause is not to be understood by human logic, as it is based on divine wisdom. In the life of this world, when you encounter blasphemy, hypocrisy, duplicity, and all other things that seem to be evil, let these things not shake your faith. Know that Allah Most High, in His absolute wisdom, is responsible for all and everything. And He does what appears to be negative in order to express His infinite power. Manifestation of such overwhelming power may seem to some unbearable and therefore negative. But there is great mystery in this that no one other than our Prophet ﷺ could know. See, a lot of people, they see the things which happen in the world and they say, oh, if God is good, how can He let these things happen? You know, and, you know, how we look, I mean, some people's lives are really, really tragic. And it's difficult. It's difficult if you've got a heart to look on and to see that. And it makes people question. I mean, this is why people become atheists and agnostics, because they question these things. And I wouldn't go as far as Shaykh Abdul-Qadir Al-Jilani. I'd say it's okay to question. But we do have to be careful, because if we try to think about the creator of universes, you know, this is God. God is the creator of universes. God cannot be pinned down. God is the source of everything in existence. How can we possibly understand Allah's wisdom? We are human beings. We are human beings living on a planet that even from Mars, the next planet, if you look in the sky, our Earth looks smaller than the moon. Much smaller than the moon does from Earth, just a little speck. Actually, we look like a little star, a little blue star from Mars. And Mars is our neighboring planet within the solar system. And our solar system is just a little speck within our galaxy, the Milky Way. And our galaxy is just a little speck within our corner of the universe. And our corner of the universe is just a little speck within the whole universe. So we are living on a speck within a speck within a speck within a speck of the universe. And all of this is created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can you comprehend the intelligence, the consciousness which created all of this? How can we? We only have insights which have come to us in scriptures, and which sometimes come to us through reflecting upon the cosmos. We only have insights. We can't fully understand. But one thing, we do know that we live upon an earth which has perfect conditions for life. We are just the right distance away from the sun. The water can be a gas, can be liquid, and can be ice. We can live on this earth comfortably. We can eat because the earth is plentiful and fruitful. We are very fortunate to be here. And one of the things which, if you reflect upon the earth's creation, it does indicate to us that Allah is benevolent, that Allah is kind, caring, and loving. But at the same time, Allah is the creator of universes. So we cannot fully comprehend the wisdom of God. And it's always, when we question some of these things, it's always worth reflecting also upon our own limitations as human beings, what we are actually capable of doing, and where those capabilities taper off. We have to be careful. Otherwise, we can assume too much. And then that takes us away from understanding. The Shaykh continues, there is a story of a wise man who prayed to his Lord, saying, O Divine One, all is preordained by you. My fate is yours. The will is yours. The wisdom which you put in me is your creation. As he prayed, he heard a response without sound, without words, coming from within him, which said, O my servant, all that you say belongs to the One, who is unique and united. It does not belong to the servant. The believing servant said, O my Lord, I have tyrannized myself. I am in error. I have sinned. After that, the confession he again heard, the voice from within him, and I have had mercy upon you. I have erased your faults and forgiven you. Let the ones who have faith know and be thankful that all the good they do is not from them, but through them. Success comes from the Creator. When they err, let them know that their mistakes and their sins belong to them, that they may repent. Wrong comes from the unjustified ambitions of their egos. If you understand this and follow it, you belong to the ones who have been mentioned by Allah in the Quran as those who, having done something to be ashamed of, or who have wronged their own souls, earnestly bring Allah to mind and ask for forgiveness for their souls. And who can forgive sins except Allah? And are never obstinate in persisting knowingly in the wrong they have done. For such the reward is forgiveness from their Lord, and gardens with rivers flowing underneath, an eternal dwelling. Surah Al-Imran, Ayah 135. It is better for the believer to accept that he himself is the source of all of his own faults. That is what will save him. It is indeed better than attributing his faults to the Almighty and Powerful, the One who created all. When our Master said, it is already known when one is in the mother's womb, whether one will be a sinner or righteous. He meant by the mother's womb the four elements that give birth to all material forces and faculties. Two of these four elements are earth and water, which are responsible for the growth of faith and knowledge, give life to the living, and appear in the heart as humbleness, for earth is humble. The other two elements are fire and ether. They are the opposite of earth and water. They burn, destroy, kill. It is the divine that unites these opposites in one being. How do water and fire coexist? How are light and darkness contained within the clouds? As Allah says in the Quran, it is He who shows you lightning, causing both fear and hope. It is He who raises up the clouds, heavy with rain. Nay, thunder repeats His praises, and so do the angels with awe. He flings the loud-voiced thunderbolts, and therewith strikes whomever He will. Surah Ra'd 12 and 13. So, a lot to take in here. But it's important to understand that everything that we have is come from Allah. Everything. So and also be aware of the majesty, gloriousness of Allah. So we should be humble before Allah and ask Allah's forgiveness for our own weaknesses, but also recognize that anything that shines through us is a gift that Allah is sending through us. One day someone asked the saint, Yahya ibn Mu'ad al-Razi, how did you come to know Allah? He answered, by the union of opposites. The opposites pertain to, and in fact are a requirement for, the understanding of Allah's attributes. Facing the divine truth, man becomes the mirror in which the truth is reflected, but also in which the attribute of might is reflected. Humans contain the whole universe in one being. That is why he is called the unifier of multiplicity, the macrocosm. Allah created us with his two hands, his hand of grace and his hand of all-compelling, crushing power and wrath. Therefore, the human is a mirror that shows both sides, both that which is coarse and dense, and that which is fine and exquisite. So you see, if you look at any human being, we all have these opposite characteristics within us. We all can be devils, we all can be selfish, we all can be unkind, we all can be angry and you've had that fire come out of us. And we all can be graceful, caring, loving. We all have that within us. And there is a wisdom in it, because that is what gives human beings our potential. If we only had one side or the other, we may as well not be alive. We wouldn't have the potential we have. You look at everything in this creation is a duality. Everything comes in opposites. You look, these very devices that I'm talking to you through at the moment, they run on electricity. Electricity is the flow of electrons from positive and negative. They flow between positive and negative. And that's a circuit. And if you don't have that circuit, the electrons, negative ions, they've got nowhere to flow. So you don't have the power flowing. Everything that we have, I mean, electricity only works because of this, the way atoms are structured. If they're not in a circuit, the electrons fly around in circles, orbiting the nucleus of the atom, the proton, which is positive. This is what all of this world is made out of. It's made out of atoms that are made of positive and negative ions. And then, of course, in the biological world, you've got male and female. Everything comes in opposites. This is the way the creation works. But if it wasn't like that, what would be happening? You know, it's that charge in the atom that drives the electron to fly around the atom. It's that power that we've harnessed, which allows us to use electricity to power all of these fantastic devices that we have today. It's the attraction between male and female that brings life into the world. Otherwise, everything would cease. Our species would become extinct, as would every other species on this earth. there is a wisdom in it. And all of this is a reflection of the oneness. Bismillah. While all the divine names are manifested in man, all of the creations are only one-sided. Allah created the accursed devil and his progeny from his attributes of all-compelling wrath. He created the angels from his attribute of grace. The qualities of sanctity and continuous worship are contained in the angels, while the devil and his followers, created from Allah's attributes of crushing wrath, have the quality of tyranny. That is why the devil became so arrogant, and when ordered by Allah to prostrate himself to Adam, refused. But man contains in himself both the high and low characteristics of the universe. And as Allah has chosen his messengers and saints from among humankind, these messengers are not free from error either. Prophets, when they receive the mission of prophethood, are made innocent of great sins, but the small sins and errors may still be manifested in them. The saints, on the other hand, are not rendered incapable of sins. Yet it is said that when saints who come close to Allah reach perfection, they come under divine protection against committing great sins. Shaykh al-Balqi, may Allah sanctify his secret, says, there are 5 signs of righteousness: a gentle disposition and a soft heart, shedding tears of regret, asceticism, and not caring about the world, being unambiguous, and having a conscience. The signs of the sinner are also 5: to be hard-hearted, to have eyes that never cry, to love the world and the worldly, to be ambitious, and to be without conscience and shame. The Prophet ﷺ attributes 4 qualities to the righteous person. He is dependable and safeguards that which is given unto him and returns it. He keeps his promises. He is truthful and never lies. Is not harsh in discussion and does not break hearts. He mentions also 4 signs of the sinner. He is unfaithful and undependable, careless with things which are entrusted to his care, doesn't keep his promises, lies, fights and curses as he discusses, and he breaks hearts. Moreover, the sinner is unable to forgive the errors of his friends. This is a sign of faithlessness, just as to forgive is the highest sign of the believer. Hold to forgiveness, command what is right, but turn away from the ignorant. Surah Araf, Ayah 199. The order hold to forgiveness is not given only to our Prophet ﷺ. It addresses everyone, and certainly all people who believe in Muhammad ﷺ. If a king orders his governor to do a certain thing, abiding with that order becomes incumbent upon everyone under that governor, even though the order itself was only given to the governor. In the order, hold to forgiveness. The word hold means make it a habit. Make it a part of your nature, a part of yourself. Whoever has a forgiving nature receives one of Allah's names, the name of the forgiver. Allah promises, if a person forgives and makes reconciliation, his reward is due from Allah. Surah Shura, Ayah 40. Know that forgiveness turns into rebellion against Allah, and rebellion and sin into righteousness, not by themselves, but through influences and by one's own doing and effort. As our Prophet ﷺ says, all children are born as it is in fitrah. It is the mothers and fathers who turn them into Jews, Christians, or Magian fire worshippers. Everyone has the potential of being good and of being bad. Therefore, it is wrong to judge someone or something as totally good or totally bad. It is right to think that if someone has more good in him, and then he has bad. He is righteous. And if his bad characteristics are more than the good, the reverse. Interesting point here, hold to forgiveness. Why is forgiveness, as mentioned here, the highest quality of the believer, the greatest sign of the believer? Why is this? If you think about it, if someone wrongs you and you forgive them, even though they have wronged you in a way which you would be well within your rights to seek recompense, but you choose forgiveness consciously. Why are you doing this? Only a person who puts their trust and faith in God would defer such a situation to God. Only if you have that true faith would you do that. Because otherwise, you are just, why would you do it? Why would you do it if you didn't trust that there is someone accounting for everything? And also understanding that everything happens for a reason. And the Shaykh finishes off by saying, it is wrong to judge someone or something as totally good or totally bad. It is right to think that if someone has more good in him than he is bad, has more good in him than he has bad, he is righteous. And if his bad characteristics are more than the good, the reverse. This does not mean that man gains paradise without good deeds, nor does it mean he is thrown into hellfire without sins. To think this way is in opposition to the principles of Islam. Allah has promised paradise to his believing servants who do good deeds, and has warned the rebelling, non-believing sinners who set themselves up as partners to him with the punishment of hellfire. Allah says in the Quran, whoever does good, it is for himself, and whoever does evil, it is against himself. Then turn to your Lord, you will be brought back. Then to your Lord, you will be brought back. Surah Jathiyah, ayah 16. And then also in the Quran, this day everyone is rewarded with what he has earned. No injustice this day. Surely Allah is swift in reckoning. Surah Mu'min, ayah 17. Man can have nothing but what he strives for. Surah Najm, ayah 39. And and whatever good you send before for yourselves, you will find it with Allah. Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 110. And whatever good you send before yourselves, you will find it with Allah. For surely Allah knows everything you do. And if you put your trust in Allah and do good works, Allah will ensure that you are not wronged. Even if something happens which it appears like that for a time, that ultimately things will turn around and you will see that you will be rewarded. And if not in this life, then definitely in the next. But you will find also things will happen in this life. I hope you find this interesting, and I hope you find it useful. Again, the book I was just reading is The Secret of Secrets by Shaykh Abdul-Qadir Al-Jilani. It's a very beautiful book, a book filled with wisdom of this great saint of Islam. I will leave it there today. I wish everybody well. I hope everybody is well. I hope things are improving wherever you are in the world. And if you find these videos useful, please don't forget to subscribe to my Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you watch them. so that you can keep updated with these latest videos. I do the sohbet and zikr every Thursday evening, and I do a Friday reflections, usually roughly around this time, sometimes a bit earlier on a Friday. So please tune in future. I wish you all the very, very best. May Allah bless you all and make things easier for you all. And I wish you all have a wonderful weekend too. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.